Sure.
What's up, guys? Larri Whyte podcast. I got a special guest today. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Peace, peace, peace. I go by the name of BarryMarz, CEO of HappyBoyz Records, based out of Fairfax, Virginia.
Sir. So first question I want to ask you. So Dream Therapy, you're kind of posting little snippets here and there. When is it? Do you have an official date?
Yes, sir. February 22nd. That's
Okay.
when it's officially dropping.
Okay. So it's a whole project. Who's all on? Do you have anybody specific on any of the tracks, or is it just you?
It's just me.
Okay.
I've got various producers. This cat named Yogic Beats,
Okay.
Leandrew Young. There's a few other producers on there too, but mostly it's just me as far as the rapping and production goes.
Cool. So first question I want to ask you, if you could go back and change okay, hold on, rephrase that. If you wanted your younger self to know something about you now, what would it be?
Man, that's a good question. I would just tell my younger self that it's going to be okay,
Right.
Because I used to worry a lot when I was younger about things that really didn't matter at all.
Right.
And that would just be one thing I tell my younger self is like, everything you've ever wanted to be, you're going to eventually end up being that. Just don't worry about the unimportant stuff. That's what I would tell my younger self.
Okay. Definitely agree with that. I think everybody's got a little worry in there, but some people have it a little bit worse.
Definitely.
Yep. So your mom, she helps you a lot with about everything, I've noticed. How important is that, having someone as close to you as your mom helping you with stuff like that?
It's very important because it's another thing that connects us to each other, Yep. Excuse me. Just having her do everything as far as like the videos, the event planning, the management services, just all of that. Sometimes even the photography. It's just it's a blessing, man. It's a blessing. That's really all I can say about it.
I agree. So before you set your mind on music, did you have another passion that kind of like you wanted to go pursue before music?
Yeah, definitely. I'd say when I was really young, it was animation.
Okay.
Because I used to draw a lot, and that's kind of like how that ties into the music now with the covers and everything. And then once I got to college, it was more so about graphic design.
Right.
So that was like my passion when I was a lot younger. And then I kind of just built the music eventually,
Definitely. What's the favorite song you've ever wrote? It doesn't even got to be a song you dropped, just something you've wrote.
Favorite song. Favorite song. That's a tough one. I'd have to say for now, it would have to be this song off of my Happy project called Chase the Bag.
Okay.
Probably that one.
All right. So HappyBoyz Records. So you got, how many crew members are there? Members?
All right. So we got Hoodie Jim, Hoodie Kai, Darian Wade, aka Young Net, and we got my little bro D Will. So cool. I mean, I'm not good off the head of it with math, but
no, you're good.
And then we also just added, actually, this is kind of like an announcement.
Okay.
But my older cousin, he produces as well, but he's going to be A&Ring for the label. That just happened like yesterday.
Okay,
so.
Cool.
Yeah.
So what are your plans, and like how did you meet everybody, and where do you want to see it go in the future?
So Darian Wade and D Will, they're blood brothers.
Okay.
And I went to college with Darian Wade. So that's like one of my best friends.
Right.
His brother got into it through him, and then me just hearing his little brother rap and taking the liking to his style. Mm-hmm. Hoodie Jim. I believe I met Hoodie Jim. I don't know how I met Hoodie Jim, man. I really don't. Shout out to Hoodie Jim.
Yep.
Hoodie Jim, we ended up linking. He asked to be a part. I was like, yeah, for sure, Mm-hmm. And then that's how Hoodie Kai kind of got into it as well. Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. So the project you worked with Chuck Strangers, what did you learn from him, like music wise, or even from just life in general, like some advice or just important pieces you may have learned from him along the way?
If anything, like the one thing I definitely learned was you have to seize every moment, you
Right.
know, because I would be the first to tell you, like, yes, I meditated on something like that happening.
Right.
Literally, like I meditated, like, you know, let me do something with Chuck
Right.
Strangers, you know,
Yeah.
just happened to be in his live, just happened to ask, like,
Right.
are you selling beats? He just happened to get off live when that
Right.
happened, happened to DM me, happened to sell me a whole pack. So you, you got to seize every moment.
Right.
That's the best advice I could give as far as that goes.
Cool. So if you had $10 million and you were granted it, what would be the first thing you buy?
$10 million. Wow. Hmm. First and foremost, I would just make sure that I had my own place and my own car because I don't have a car right now. So
Right.
those would be the first things, honestly.
Okay. Cars are important, definitely in today's world. You got to get
Yes,
around.
sir.
You got to get
Yes,
around.
sir.
You have a clothing brand, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. How did that start? And again, where do you want to see it go in the future and like progress wise?
That actually started in the pandemic, believe it or not.
Okay.
2020 that started. I always had an
Right.
idea of starting a clothing line,
Mhm.
but once I had all this time on my hands, you know, March 2020, I had, you know, a heat press, an embroidery machine, all these machines that I
Right.
wasn't using pre-pandemic. That's when like I just started, okay, let me see what I could do. Let me make all these clothes. As far as where I want to see it going, honestly, I would like to be in a similar position to Virgil Abloh. Rest in peace to him.
Yep.
He heavily inspired me as far as fashion goes, and just seeing what he's been able to do as a Black designer in the fashion industry, you know, Kanye as well.
Yep.
I aspire to be in a position like that, or honestly, even an even better position, you know.
Definitely. So what do you want your fans to ultimately get from your music? Like if someone was to ask your fans about you, like, hey, what's BarryMarz's music all about? What do you want your true meaning to be behind?
So the one thing I always say that I want gathered from my music is I want to teach people. I want to positively impact people. I want to positively influence people. I want to make them think as well. So aside from that, and just, you know, well, actually, yeah, that's pretty much it.
Okay.
To influence, to inspire, to impact, to teach, and to make people think. Like, if I've done any of those things for anyone that listens to my music, whether it's a kid, you know, a man, a woman, or anything, to where they feel connected to what I'm doing in such
Right.
a way, then I feel like my mission, you know, has been partially completed.
Okay. What are your other hobbies you like to do besides, making music?
Graphic design, definitely, video editing, watching documentaries, reading books, going for walks, nature, definitely nature. I love waterfalls. I
Right.
love waterfalls. I love fountains. You know, any kind of thing like that where I'm just in atmosphere and in nature. I love that because it's super relaxing. Um, meditation.
Definitely.
I
Okay.
have to meditate every
All right.
day. You know, I can't even say that's a hobby, but for lack of a better phrasing, that's a
Yeah.
hobby.
Okay. I've always wondered about meditation. I've always wanted to try it, but like, what would your best advice be on to someone like me wanting to like get into meditation? Where would you start?
Download the Headspace app.
Okay.
That's where I got started. The Headspace app, what they do is they ease you into it.
Mhm.
There's like a very calming voice audio that you listen to, and then it kind of eases you through it, and you have an increment of either 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 or 20, and you eventually like work your way up through those increments.
Okay. What back to the nature part, do you think that has a play in like if you have writer's block or something, would you think that helps you, like you just go walk or go explore nature? You think that helps you a little bit get your thinking going?
Oh, 100%, 100%.
Yep.
Uh, oddly enough, I don't know what it is. Like it could be a spiritual reasoning behind this, but every fountain locally, I
Mhm.
know where every fountain in my area
Huh.
is. Every last one. Somehow I've just been able to find it. And I stumbled upon all of them.
Wow.
So just going to fountains and seeing the waves of water and how relaxing that could be for you mentally and spiritually, it takes you to a certain place that only that kind of thing can take you to.
Right.
So that definitely helps with writer's block. I try to go to a fountain at least every day.
Okay. So you create music in today's generation. If someone gave you two options, older generation, newer generation, what would you kind of lean towards? Because obviously you make music now.
That's a that's a good question. Man.
I know.
That's a good question. I would have to say newer. I'd
Okay.
have to say newer because I'm so influenced by those past generations of music
Mhm.
that if I was to be in the past making music, I don't think I would stand out. I'd
Right.
kind of just blend in,
Right. Definitely.
for sure.
What are some of your favorite artists you like to listen to?
Oh man, that's a great question too. I listen to so much music, man. Like not just rap, but R&B, some pop, rock, jazz fusion, contemporary jazz, smooth jazz. Like, oh man, man,
At least you got a wide variety though.
definitely. Right now, I'm listening to SZA a lot as far as R&B is concerned. Rap, as far as rap is concerned, Navy Blue for sure. Mike. Who else, man? Black Thought when he does his streams of thought projects.
Right.
Isaiah Rashad. Man, it's just so many. It's too
Right.
many I could name right now, but
Yeah.
I'll just leave it at that for now.
Okay. So you're on all kinds of platforms. You're on Spotify, YouTube, SoundCloud.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Where do you want to see yourself progress in the future with all those platforms? What do you achievement wise, goals wise in the new year? What do you want to progress towards?
Seeing as though last year I made it to an editorial playlist, I want to make it to more editorial playlists.
Okay.
And then a goal of mine for this year, as far as Apple Music, I want to get an Apple Music interview with Nadeska.
Okay.
And then I also want to be on like various Apple Music playlists.
Okay. So Dream Therapy is coming out. Do you have anything past that, or are you just kind of sticking for that right now?
Right now, I'm just kind of like focused on the rollout for that.
Right.
I do have other songs that are are recorded,
Right.
but I'm not focused on the rollout for those right
Okay.
now.
If serious question, if you could go back and change anything in your past, what would it be and why?
Oh man, this is a good question. This is a very good question, actually. And if I may be very vulnerable, um, so man, man, this may be mind blowing for some people what I'm
Right.
about to say, but hey, just me saying this could help the next person.
Agreed.
So when I was younger, there was a lot of moments where, unfortunately, I was inappropriately touched. And, that would be the one thing I would change is just speaking up for myself,
Right.
talking to people about that. Because, something like that happened to me multiple times and it changed me completely, like forever.
Right.
So that would be the one thing that I wish I could change is just the fact that I didn't let that happen.
Right.
I was more vocal about, self-protection.
Definitely.
So yeah.
Well, I'm sorry that happened. That's crazy to think about.
No, it's it happens. It's a lot of people that happens to,
Right.
and that's kind of why, like, whew, man. I'm such an advocate for if someone is not touching you, don't
Right.
touch them,
Agreed.
I'm
Agreed.
so big on that because I see so many men like assert their touch on women,
Right.
like just put their hand around them or touch them in the butt. And I'm like,
Right.
don't do that.
Right.
Like that's not cool at all. Like
Agreed.
keep your hands to yourself. If this woman does not consent you to touch her, do not touch her. Like
Agreed.
I've almost fought people over that,
Yeah.
man. Like I'm super serious about that,
Right.
yo.
No,
Like,
I agree.
yeah.
I think, and I think like the more the generation gets older, I think it gets worse. Definitely as the days and the years go by, I think it gets worse because not very many people understand the concept of, like you said, don't touch people if you don't want to be touched.
Exactly.
So I agree with you 100% on that. Back to when you were younger, what really brought you to create music or want to go after pursue music?
Oh, that was a destiny, man. My dad, he's a smooth jazz guitarist.
Mm-hmm.
So I've had music around me my entire life, like from birth all the way up until now. So as far as a fleeting thought in the back of my mind, I was always like, man, like it would be so cool to be a rapper. Like
Right.
I always thought that when I was younger. And I think my introduction to hip hop, I was 4 years old, I believe. And this is a story that's been recounted multiple times from my mother and father.
Right.
Hip Hop Array by Naughty by Nature.
Mm-hmm.
That came on instantly, like big smile on my face. I'm like, hey,
Right.
oh, you know.
Yeah.
So that's like, you know, that's my earliest memory with hip hop. Even to this day, somebody could play that song right now. Oh, yeah.
Right.
The smile is coming on my face, you know.
Yeah. That's cool, man. 3 people that's had a big influence on you.
Oh man. My mother for sure. My mentor, rest in peace to him. And who else? My mother, my mentor, and my graphic design instructor, Edward Jett. Okay. I don't know if he'll see this, but shout out to Edward Jett, man. You saved me. I would not have graduated college if it was not for him. So shout outs to him because he, man, shout out to him. That's all I can say.
Okay. I got 2-part question. What would your advice be on anybody trying to, how would you tell people to handle criticism?
Ooh, that's a good question. You have to get to a point where you're so focused on what you're doing that you don't have time to pay attention to the criticism.
Right.
To the negative criticism. Now, constructive criticism, if it's constructive, there's nothing wrong with paying attention to that.
Agreed.
And it's good to take heed to the good aspect of the constructive criticism. But if it's negative criticism in the form of judgment, I would tell anyone to just focus on what's in front of you. Like if you have a project and, you know, someone says, oh, I don't like this. I don't think this is good. I think you should do this. I think you should do that. Focus on what you want to do, you know?
Definitely.
If you think it sounds good to change this about what you're doing based off of what someone else says, if it sounds like a good idea and you want to do it, do it. If it doesn't, don't do it. You know, simple as that.
Agreed. So second part of the question, advice, it's an advice part. Advice on anybody trying to reach a goal or a dream. What's your best advice on how to get there or even just work towards it?
100% consistency. Definitely consistency. Stay as focused as possible. Cut out all the outside noise. If there's anyone that's that you may think is distracting you from what you're trying to do, it doesn't matter who it is. It doesn't matter how close you were to them, how close you are to them. If you feel like that person is taking you away from what you're trying to do on your life path and purpose, cut them off. Like,
agreed.
And keep going towards what you're doing. That would be my advice.
Okay. Back to your favorite hobbies. You said you like reading. What's your favorite book you've ever read?
My favorite book. I'm actually reading it right now.
Okay.
It's called The Book of Awakening. This book, every chapter is a day. So Like today, for example, the 15th, there's a chapter called January 15th.
Huh.
And yeah, every chapter is like a date,
That's
like
crazy.
from January 1st all the way down to December 31st.
Wow.
And every chapter is like, it's like a spiritual, poetic lesson. And at the end of every chapter is a meditation. It's a life-changing
That's
book.
crazy.
I'm telling you. Yeah.
I'll have to look into that.
Nah, definitely.
Weird question. What's your favorite food?
Favorite food?
I know it's kind of a weird one.
That's a good question. Favorite food. Right now, I'd say my favorite food is sweet potato fries.
Okay. I like those. Yeah. I'll agree with you on that one. Okay. Last question before we wrap it up. Do you think today's generation has a positive influence or negative influence? Just on like anything really?
I think it depends.
It could go both ways.
Yeah, I think so. I think it could go both ways, you know. The integration of social media in this new generation has a large effect on, you know, how they operate.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
It could be positive or negative. You know, it's a toss up. You know what I mean?
I agree. Okay, one more question. What's your favorite childhood memory you had that kind of like, I don't know, just something that's special to you that hits home?
Favorite childhood memory. Favorite childhood memory, man. Wow. Favorite childhood memory. That's a good question too, man. Favorite childhood memory. Man, that's a good question. I know. Man, let me think, man. Let me think. I think it was like, there's so much that happened, but just, you know, the good times I had with my dad, you know, him just joking around all the time. Man, I think going to DC, there was just one time. Okay, this is a very fond memory because this was the first time I ever heard Tupac Hail Mary. My dad took me to a house party in DC. I was like 6 years old. There were some kids that were there. They were around my age. We played NBA Live. I think it was NBA Live 99. So this was a long time ago. Tupac Hail Mary is playing in the background. I'm thinking to myself, like, I don't know what this is, but this sounds dope. Like, you know, it was cool, man. It was dope. You know, us playing outside, us playing flag football, or tag football, not flag football. That's probably, that I can think of right now, the fondest memory of my childhood.
Okay. Do you still play video games?
No, not at all, man.
No. It's all right. I don't blame you on that one.
I have not played video games since 2010, man.
It's okay. They change over the years. It's not. I appreciate you coming on. I really do. I had a good time this time. I think we definitely better connection that way. But I appreciate you. I respect what you're doing. I think you have a really positive influence on everybody.
Hey, man, that means a lot, man, for real. Thank you very much. I'm glad we could do this again as well, you know, for sure.
Sir, if you got anybody, like I said, if you got anybody that wants one, send them my way.
No, I got you. I got you.
All right. Larri Whyte podcast. Go check out BarryMarz. I appreciate everybody. Peace.
Peace.